Hello, boys and girls. We are continuing topic 16 today, and we are going to move on to lessons 3 and 4. The last video you watched, we talked about a lot of the vocabulary that we need for topic 16. So we talked about the different types of lines, the parallel lines, intersecting lines, perpendicular. We talked about a point, a line, a plane, okay? And then the second part of the video talks about the different angles. And that's really what we're going to focus on with lessons 3 and 4. So I wanted to start by just quickly reviewing the end of our last video. That we have these different types of angles, okay? And that a right angle makes that 90 degrees, okay? We have that acute angle, which means it is less than 90 degrees. Sorry, I wrote that the wrong way, okay? And then we have the obtuse angle, which means it's greater than 90 degrees, okay? And then our straight angle, if you remember, I said was 180 degrees. So we focused on naming those different angles based on their measurement yesterday. So today, we are going to focus on using our different angles to figure out the measurement of an angle based on the degrees of a circle. So something we need to remember before we even get going is that this whole circle, all the way around, if you went all the way around that circle, is 360 degrees. Okay? Now, if I had that circle, and think of our straight angle from the previous slide, I'm going to do this. The center of the clock is our point. Okay? Here's our two rays making our angle. And we said that straight line, okay, was 180 degrees. So it's half. It's half of a circle. So basically, we took that straight angle and we cut that circle in half. So 360 divided by 2 would be 180. So a whole circle is 360 degrees. Half a circle is 180 degrees. I'm going to get rid of the lines I have here for you because I want to focus on now our angle that we've made right here with the two rays. I'm going to add our arrows so that they are rays. So here's our angle. And I want you to think about what degree this angle is now. So if the whole circle was 360, if the straight line across the center from the 9 to the 3 was 180, think about what this angle is and what it looks like from the other screen. And if you look at it closely enough, this angle here is a 90-degree angle. It's a quarter of a circle. So I could have 4 of these angles if I draw my hands out, or the rays, okay? We could have 4 90-degree angles. So what they want you to know is that you can use a basic unit that you know already to measure and find the angles of other angles. So they can be used, they're measured in units called degrees, looking over here, okay? And a unit angle is an angle that cuts our circle into a certain point. So we can look at this circle and say each of these little sections here is a 1 unit. But then you can expand that knowledge and we can just say we know that our quarter of an hour going around that clock is a 90-degree angle. We know that half of our circle is a 180-degree angle, and we know that our whole circle is 360. So you can use your knowledge and find those angles and their degrees, okay? But knowing that that 1 degree is equal 1/360th of a circle, okay? So let's move on to the next slide, and we're going to use this a little bit to practice a few problems. So we have this circle here. We're going to start with circle number 1. Okay, this is circle number 2. We're going to start by looking at circle number 1. And this is the angle right here that they want us to measure. So there's our rays that I just traced in purple. We know, remember, that a whole circle is equal to 360 degrees. So if I wanted to know what the degree of this angle was right here, we would have to look to see, well, what is it dividing that circle into? And what's nice about circle number 1, if you look at circle number 2, is circle number 1 is already split up into all these pieces for us. So all you have to do, I'm going to switch to a different color just so it stands out. We're going to count how many sections they've divided the circle into. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Okay? And then I take my 360, divide it by my 9 sections. I see a basic fact here, which is 4. 4 times 9 is 36. Okay, and I can just bring up my 0. So our missing angle, based on that, our question mark, is equal to, and you would write it exactly like this, 40 degrees. Now this circle down here I told you was not split up into these sections, but what if I told you that this angle here is equal to 1/8 of that circle, meaning that this section is 1 of 8 pieces. So if you think of it that way, I would have to take my 360 and divide it by those 8 pieces. Okay? And when we do that, okay, and we look at how we get our degrees, this would end up being our 45 degrees. Okay, so what you're doing is you're taking whatever that circle is split up into, whether it be 9 pieces, whether it be 8 pieces, whether it be 6 pieces, whether it be 5 pieces, and you're using that 360. You're always going to come back to that 360 to decide what that angle measure would be. Okay, let's take a look at one more problem that's not a circle. Okay, this last one is looking at a square. Now, it's still using the knowledge of what we have already about angles. So we're going to look at square 1 here. This is square 2. Okay, we know that the corners of a square form 90-degree angles. So this right here, I'm going to trace in purple, is a 90-degree angle. I'm going to come in with my green, and they want to know what this angle is. And I'm going to tell you that this angle, the green angle, is cutting the purple angle in half. So if you think of it as half, that means I need to take half of 90 or divide it into 2. And half of 90 is 45 degrees. So we can use our knowledge that, just like a circle, we know a circle is 360 degrees. I can say, well, I know the corner of a square is 90 degrees. So I can use that to help me figure out if it's cut in half, that it's equal to 45 degrees. If you look down at square number 2 down here now, go back to my purple, okay, we have 2 squares. I'm going to trace here. We know that that angle, I'm going to do it this way, is equal to 90, okay. I'm going to go to green, okay. We already know that this green angle here, because it's splitting this left square in half, okay, is equal to 45 degrees, okay. I'm going to switch to my blue now, okay, and they want to know this whole angle. So if I take my 90, which I know is part of the angle, and my 45, which is part of the angle, we could add these two, and I would get 135 degrees. So now I didn't need to divide or multiply or subtract. I just took my knowledge of, I know that this angle here is 90, this angle here is 45, put them together, and you can get 135. So your practice problem tonight is going to be having you use a circle and a square to find those missing angles. Thank you, boys and girls.